The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community that sees all things new. I'm Alpha Sanford and I am streaming live from Boston, Massachusetts. Good morning, magandang umaga, good night, mabuhay. Welcome to Once a Teacher, Always a Teacher. Hi, everybody. Good morning again. It's a wonderful Saturday morning here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I know we have a lot of viewers watching in the Philippines, here in the US, both in this side of the country and on the other side of the coast. And to all our viewers who are supporting Once a Teacher, Always a Teacher, hello to all of you. Before I bring in our very special guest for today, I want to just acknowledge a few people. First, I want to say thank you to Miss Vienna Galgana, who actually connected me to our guest today. So thank you, Manang Vienna, for making that connection. Also, I want to say hi and hello to all of my high school classmates of the TAU, Tarlac Agricultural University Laboratory High School class of 1998. I saw a lot of pictures from all of you last night, and it was wonderful to see our high school teachers, Madam Evelyn Gaila, Madam Nelia Zarate, Madam Castro, join your reunion and your birthday celebration party yesterday. So I am saying hi to all of you. Good birthday shout out and warm wishes to Joanna Fajardo and Eric Lorenzana. So happy birthday to all of you. Also to my family who are in San Francisco, and to my cousin who I saw in the pictures, who got married, who is also a teacher in Las Vegas, Ariel Cabiltes. Congratulations. All right, now that we're done, when it comes to all of these greetings, I am going to give a quick introduction of our special guest. Actually, as I am getting to know our guest, I feel like this time I may need to incorporate two other languages as I will be interviewing him today. And the reason for that is one, obviously, he is a Filipino and he can speak in our national language, Tagalog. But at the same time, I learned that he too is an Ilocano. And I also speak Ilocano. And so when I learn that he is also an Ilocano, I feel like there are only a few Ilocano education leaders here in the United States. So I thought maybe throughout this conversation, I will be speaking and conversing with him in these three different languages. So stay tuned as we use our mother tongue throughout this session for today. All right. So without further ado, let me just introduce you our guest. Let me just read to you his awesome resume and his awesome story. So, our guest today is Dr. Edgardo Dacpano, and under the Philippine Government Scholarship for Indigenous People, IP, or the National Integration Scholarship Program, Dr. Edgardo Dacpano finished his Bachelor's of Science in Education at the St. Louis University in Baguio City. He taught for 12 years in the Philippines, and his teaching career in the United States started at the University Middle School in Waco, Texas. Then he moved to Charles Rice Learning Center in Dallas. He then worked with the Dallas Independent School District in different capacities as a teacher, then as a math demonstration teacher, then as a tiered teacher training specialist, and moving on to becoming a compliance specialist for Title I. And then he became the new teacher support and mentoring coordinator. That's a big job, by the way. And math coordinator for the Alternative Teacher Certification Program. He briefly left Dallas Independent School District and worked as Title I coordinator, another big job, for the Garland Independent School District, managing federal budgets for schools. After a year, he went back to the Dallas Independent School District to teach first grade, then became Math Campus Instructional Coach, and now currently the assistant principal of the Julius Dorsey Leadership Academy. So, without further ado, I'm gonna bring in, and I'm gonna call him, even though he earned the doctor degree, I'm still gonna call him Manong. And for those of you who don't know what's Manong, Manong is a sign of respect for somebody who is older than you. So I'm gonna call him right now, Manong Ed Dacpano. Come on in.
Good morning to our viewers here in the United States, and good evening in the Philippines and maybe some other parts of the world. I'm excited to be in this show.
Great. Manong, thank you. Naimbag na bigat kinyam dita Texas.
Naimbang nga bigat yung dita Massachusetts.
Salamat, Manong. Well, thank you very much for your time with us. So why don't we get started, starting with asking you your journey of being an education leader here in the U.S. I mean, you've come a long way, Manong Ed. Ibinakita ka ta resume mo. I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. So tell us your journey of becoming an education leader here.
Okay, my journey started actually when I first applied for a scholarship at St. Louis University, Baguio City, because when I was in high school, fourth year, I cannot decide if I would go to the university or not, because growing up poor, we don't have money for me to go to school. So my principal said, okay, why don't you apply in the College of Education of SLU? So I said, okay. So I applied for a scholarship in St. Louis University accepted me under that scholarship. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna be a teacher. After graduating, I went and took a job in St. James Academy, Malabon, for 2 years, and then went to Notre Dame of Greater Manila for 10 years. Uh, Working in Notre Dame of Greater Manila, I saw an advertisement on a newspaper telling that Texas needs teachers. That's when I applied through an agency in Makati, and my papers were processed for 2 years because of a mistake in the evaluation of my transcripts. So in
Mhm.
1996, I flew here in Texas and started working in a middle school in Waco. I found out that middle school kids were not my cup of tea. So I left Dallas, I left Waco and came to Dallas. So I started as a fifth grade math teacher in Charles Rice Learning Center in the Dallas Independent School District. And after 4 years, my principal said, okay, I'm going to appoint you as the math demonstration teacher. That is where my first leadership role in the campus came in. My job as a math demonstration teacher is to assist math teachers in the building to improve instruction in math. I'm out of the classroom, and the only time I work with the student is when I do pull outs to help them understand concepts in mathematics. So after working as a math demonstration teacher, I applied for leadership roles in the district, and that's when I had a chance to work in the central office for 7 years. And then I left briefly Dallas Independent School District and went to Garland ISD to work as a Title I coordinator. And it didn't work out. They say it's always greener on the other side, but not actually. It's greener, but it's the culture that affects someone who's looking for a new job or a new place to work. So it didn't work for me in Garland, so I moved back to Dallas as a first grade math teacher. And
Mhm.
after that, after a year moving back to Dallas, I became the math instructional coach. And then it started last Monday officially. I'm working now as the assistant principal of Julius Dorsey Leadership Academy. So leadership doesn't mean being a principal or an assistant principal in a campus. Leadership in a campus has many forms. You,
Mhm.
you can join as the SILT team, a campus instructional leadership team. You can take on work as a coordinator or maybe a leader in doing activities in the classroom or extracurricular activities. So it has many forms. Leadership, it doesn't mean you are the principal and assistant principal. You can lead in other ways. So that's how I started my leadership journey here in the United States. My leadership in the Philippines, it's nil, it's zero. I didn't have any leadership when I was still there for 12 years. But when I
Mhm.
came here, it gave me the opportunity to be a leader in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
I love it, Manong Ed, how you actually defined the word leadership. And you're right, there's this book by Robin Sharma, or maybe it's not really quite a book, but a phrase that says, a leader with no title, which is exactly what you had mentioned. And I know you did not quite mention, but I believe you were one of the co-founders of this big Filipino American Filipino education leaders or educator organization here in the United States called Unified. Could you
Yes.
tell us more in terms of your role regarding that? Because I think that's very important as part of your leadership journey and also reaching out to our fellow Filipinos and Phil-Ams here in the United States.
Yes. I leadership on Filipino organization here. We started in 2013 when different teacher organizations in the United States decided to meet up in Queens, New York. At that time, we are under one organization in New York, a teacher organization in New York. But then after a year, we found out that the plan was different from our plan as a teacher organization. So we decided to form another organization, inviting the different chapters in the United States. At that time, there were seven chapters, and I could name a few. There was Louisiana, North Texas, Los Angeles, and we have Maryland, New York at that time, and the Carolinas, South Carolina at the time. So we decided to form a new organization, and we called it the Unified. And this teacher organization at that time was formed due to some issues with teachers, mostly in the East Coast. Some teachers are having problems with immigration, so we decided to put up an organization that will cater to the needs of these teachers or educators, Filipino educators here in the United States. And as one of the incorporators of Unified, actually Unified is incorporated in New Jersey, in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Okay.
And we are a 501c3 organization. And we grew up in 7 years. Now we have 21 chapters in mainland USA plus US Virgin Islands. And we have more than 60 chapters in the Philippines under the umbrella of the Unified Philippines. So I've been the president since 2020, and my presidency was timely because it was the time when we have the lockdowns, COVID-19, and we found out that lockdowns is not really a big problem when you want to do something for the educators or for teachers. Lockdowns, we can work it out. Technology help us do our activities here in the United States and provide services to our chapters in the Philippines, especially the teachers. So it's an avenue for us to share our expertise here in the U.S. through the Salin Dunong program of Unified. The Salin Dunong means to transfer knowledge, and we provide webinar series for our teachers in the Philippines and also here in the U.S. Aside from the civic activities that we do to help out our counterparts in the Philippines, we also connect to other organizations here in the U.S., organizations just like the OWA or the POLO in Washington, D.C., or other charitable organizations that provide services to teachers or to the community as a whole.
Manong, nag-busy ka. Lots of things going on.
Yes, we do a lot of things.
Yeah. And I'm very proud of how you're reaching out and supporting the Filipino educators, Filipino American educators across the United States. And now hearing from you, you now have legs of supporting our Filipino educators in the Philippines. That's pretty amazing. So maybe later on, when we do get a chance, we'll put in the comment section how people will be able to get in touch with the Unified group or the Unified organization, so that if you are a Filipino educator or a film educator and you're interested to learn more and have the support of fellow Filipinos, you'll be part of this organization.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. So we'll just switch a little bit, Manong, when it comes to our topic. I want to focus right now in your role as an assistant principal. And since our topic today is about inclusive education, let's talk more about what is or how do you define inclusive education in your role as an assistant principal?
Okay, as an assistant principal or in any other role that you do in a campus, To me, inclusive education is when students, despite their individual differences and needs, are working and learning together, side by side in the same learning environment, be it curricular or extracurricular activities. Gone are the days when students with special needs were separated from the group of students in a regular classroom. That's why we now call we now have the inclusion classroom. This is when special needs students are given the chance to go to a regular classroom. They are not excluded anymore. So inclusion means anything and everything. A student should be given these services, and we don't see color, we don't see race or ethnicity, or we don't see this your standing in the community. If you are a student, each student will get the same services coming from the schools. The diverse values of these students contribute to the overall learning of the students because it makes learning more meaningful. And as an assistant principal, I have to make sure that all our students are getting the same services. And as an AP, I have to work with the ARD committee or the LPAC committee to make sure that we're providing the services to this group of students. And I should be able to assist the teachers to make sure that they are providing, they are following equity inside the classroom. So equity means it's not equal. It's different from being equal. So if you have seen this poster being shared on social media between equality and equity, you see these three kids standing on top of, I think it was 3 boxes. So each kid were standing on top of 3 boxes. But if you see the difference between equity and equality, still the smaller kid can't see what's on the other side of the fence. So equity means providing more for those who need the most. So even if it means to spend more, to give more to those who have less, that's what we need to do. So equity and inclusion goes hand in hand. And it doesn't mean just also on resources, but it involves the curriculum, it involves instruction, and it involves how we call now literacy inside the classroom. So inclusion is a big avenue for us to make sure that there's equity inside the classroom or in our campuses. We are just responding to the needs of all the students. And all is means all, capitalized letters all, everybody.
That's right. Um, I think what you mentioned earlier about seeing colors, you do see everybody in the classroom. You recognize them because you are seeing the different cultural backgrounds, the different heritage, and the diversity of the students that are in front of you. So we do see the different colors in front of us because we recognize each of these individual students. So,
Yes.
Dacpano, was there ever a moment in your education leadership life when you realized how important inclusion is?
I could tell you one very specific instance when I realized that inclusion is very important. When I
Mhm.
became the Math Campus Instructional Coach in Julius Dorsey Leadership Academy, I prepare, this is annually, I prepare activities for the 100 days of school. So during the 100 days of school, it's a week long activity that I prepare activities for the kids. So I do small competitions, math competitions from pre-K to fifth grade. So we are a pre-K to fifth grade campus. So I said, okay, so I have this group of students. who are what we call the special education students. So I created one competition for them alone, so that they can participate in the program.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from that, creating one program, I included them to be participants joining the regular classroom. So after doing that for a week, the inclusion teacher, who is the coordinator for special ed in our campus, approached me and she said, Mr. D, I am so glad that you included my students in these activities because honestly, this is the first time that they joined the contest that is being done when we celebrate 100 days of school. So it came to me that these students were excluded in these activities before because the teachers doesn't want to deal with some of the behavior problems that they see. So I told the inclusion teacher that, well, this is what we need to do because they need to be involved in all the activities in the school. So inclusion is really important. So the students could realize that they are part of the school and their needs must be met, not only those who are in the regular classroom.
Correct. Yeah. And that's the beauty of inclusivity. It's really ensuring that one individual student is really accessing and is able to be part of what's going on inside the classroom. And
That's right.
sometimes it's not just the access, but it's the feelings of really belonging in the classroom. And I know, the word belonging is starting to expand,
Mm-hmm.
but inclusion is really about the access and then working on the feelings, the ultimate feeling of belongingness. Because
That's right.
every student in our classroom, much like what you mentioned, Manu Ed, is an important part of the school community.
That's
So
right.
thank you for that. I'm curious, Manu Ed, will you walk us through how to build or develop a more inclusive school? Basically, I mean, you've been doing this one for a long time. You went from being a teacher, and now you're overseeing an entire school. How would you do that?
All right. First of all, is probably to promote or accept the idea of inclusion. Everyone in the school system should understand the nature of an inclusive education. That is, they should know and empower those people involved to provide an inclusive education to everybody. Once you accept that idea of inclusive education, you should be able to remove all the roadblocks that exclude certain group of students in the school or in the community. Second, we need to establish a school culture of inclusive school. And it shows in a school culture. So once you enter a classroom, you enter a campus, you should see and feel what an inclusive school or classroom looks like, meaning everybody is working together to provide these services to everybody, to all the students. You shouldn't be seeing students being put in a corner uh, and not receiving the services. The third one is to have an inclusive curriculum. An inclusive curriculum means all the cultures are represented. Uh, for example, in a reading classroom, wherein the books provided for the students to read, it all cultures must be represented. So you could see in a mini library inside the classroom, you should have books on African Americans. You should have books on Asians. You should see books on Indigenous people. So that means inclusivity too, because you just don't know who among your students have roots or have relatives or forefathers that were in this group of people in the community. The third one is to embrace a diverse learning criteria. So uh, students doesn't learn one way. They learn in many different ways. It's not one size fits all. So we have to address that students have differences and they learn in different ways. So that's one way of doing an inclusive education. And we can also do personalized learning. Personalized learning is also one of the programs or one of the programs that schools offer in the Dallas Independent School District. We have now campuses that are personalized learning. Uh, we call them innovation school. Us in Julius Dorsey as Leadership Academy, our focus is on service learning for our students.
Mm.
How to become a service-oriented student when they get out of Julius Dorsey. Other schools are personalized learning schools, so they have different pathways. And then we have to have trainings for faculty and staff and show them what does inclusive education looks like. So if they see it and feel it, they should be able to do it inside their classroom and in the campus as a whole. And now we have technology. So technology is big right now. So it's one way also of providing inclusivity or inclusive education to everyone, because some of their students learn faster using technology. Others do not. So technology now, which is a big part of education, is one way of providing inclusive education to our students. I hope
Perfectly
I gave you
said.
a lot of ideas on what an inclusive school is or an inclusive classroom.
No, that's wonderful. I think it is important with what you mentioned regarding the representation of our students. And I can only imagine in Texas, the different demographic population of students that you have, and
Yes.
how it is important that they are being represented in the books that they read, in the curriculum that we presented to them, and even in the availability of materials that they use in mathematics, in
Science.
science, yeah, and in social studies, because that's how they start to get connected with their identity. And
Yes.
I talk about this all the time, that identity really starts and is the foundation of building relationships with the teachers and the parents and also with the students. So if the students don't really see themselves in any of the curriculum, then there is that bridge that will never like get connected to each other. So thank you, Manong Ed, for explaining that. I'm very curious in terms of the personalized learning. um, I've attended a few trainings on personalized learning, but we have not yet implemented a true personalized learning. And I'm curious, how is it going for you over there with the personalized
Uh,
learning?
it's actually one of the schools in our network that did the personalized learning. So
Okay.
we plan to attend the one of the conferences about personalized learning
Uh-huh.
uh, in Napa Valley, but it was on that time that the United States went on lockdown. We're about to fly
Ah,
to Napa Valley to attend the conference. So, because when we plan to rebrand our school, we are a traditional school, and then we want to rebrand the school as an innovation school. That was
nice.
our plan to make a personalized learning, uh, Julius Dorsey as a personalized learning campus. But then when the pandemic hit, that plan to go and learn more about personalized learning uh, fall through. So fell through. So now we decided to change into leadership, service leadership. So
Okay.
that's what is our focus right now as our branded innovation school for Dallas Independent School District. It's
Got it.
personalized learning is more of the students create their pathways and what they want to do and what they think they can do, and it's the job of the campus or the teachers in the campus to help the students realize what they want to do when they grow up.
That's
It's just
wonderful.
preparing them. Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I've heard stories about concierge guidance counselors really helping individual students to carve their path
Yes.
during high school that will lead them into their post-secondary choice of career or
Yes.
college readiness.
Hmm.
So it will be wonderful, right? If more and more districts will be using personalized learning.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Dacpano. I'm gonna switch in Ilocano for a bit before we go on
Okay.
the break.
We can
Okay,
practice na
Manong.
Ilocano.
Mabalin kag practice ni
Ma-
Ilocano tatka.
Mabalin.
Well, mabalin. So, bago tayo nga ag-break, mabalin mo nga ibaga iti pero tayo nga Ilocano dito ay Amerika, kani J Pilipinas. Nuan niya ti pinaka-proud nga moment mo nga Ilocano here ito'y Amerika as an education leader. Kasi man-mano lang mo't ti Ilocano, di ba? So, anya iti pinaka-proud mo nga moment.
Ah, madik mo no manmanulang ti Ilocano nga education leaders dito ay Amerika. But siguro adda Ilocano leaders sa California, dito Ilocano jay, especially jay Stockton where my sister lives.
Okay.
Or jay Hawaii siguro. Ado siguro Ilocano jay nga dito'y ayang ko adamot Ilocano teachers nga amamok who nga naging leader din sila actually jay muna nga presidente ti teacher organization dito i Dallas may samot nga Ilocano na taga Sablan jay Benguet nga
Okay.
para kanya siguro ti pinaka proud moment ko as an Ilocano educator was when idi na i-recommenda nak di principal ko for the teacher of the year idi idi early 2000 na siya tinangabak nga teacher of the year di campus, and then I went to the district. So idi napanak idi district I was chosen also nga one of the 12 semifinalists as the teacher of the year of the district. Now at that time Dallas have ang enrollment na idi is more than 160,000 students.
Wow. Ado. Yeah.
And there are around maybe 8,000 teachers in the district, and being chosen as myself of the 12 semifinalists, it was already a fit for me. Nasabi ko na, okay, I'm one of the 12 out of the more than 8,000 teachers. Okay na yun sa akin kahit hindi ako manalo doon sa finals ng Teacher of the Year. And also when I became, of course, the president of Unified in 2020. And actually, I'm on my second term.
Nice.
May kadwa nga term ko as president of Unified. So I will have 4 years leading this big organization. Malaki na itong organization namin. Marami na kaming chapters, and it's still growing. So proud ako that I am an Ilocano, and now I'm being the number 2 in the campus as an assistant principal, and also the president of a a teacher organization here in the United States and also in the Philippines.
Mayat Manong, nakaka-proud nga Ilocano iti presidente iti Unified Kun. Itatadar mo iti pandira iti kailokanuan
Wow.
Texas. So salamat Manong, salamat.
Wow.
So Ilocanos Unite, si kayo apo nga Ilocano nga kayat nagbali nga maestra, bali nga maestro, sige lang, i-continue nyo lang apo iti pangarap yo. And then who knows, in the few years, agbalin kayo mat nga kasaki ni Dr. Edgardo Dacpano. Okay.
All right.
Why don't we take a break? That was such an awesome moment to really be on live StreamYard using my mother language talking to a fellow education leader in the US.
Yeah.
That was something. So, Manong, salamat. Salamat for making that happen with me and for all our viewers. All right, why don't we take a few breaks? And when we come back, we'll be talking more in terms of inclusive education at a national level. And let's hear from Dr. Dacpano in terms of his opinion regarding what's happening at the national level for inclusive education. All right, see you in a bit. TNC is a live stream platform of online shows for people on the go. Please watch all our shows as seen on the screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become a global 24 over 7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Please continue to watch and support Once a Teacher, Always a Teacher on selected Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. You can also follow us on IG, listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now. For sponsorships, please email now at thenewchannel.com or send us a DM. Enjoy these life changing shows because we made them for you. All right, folks. During our break, I was reviewing some of the comments in the comment section. And before I bring back Dr. Edgardo Dacpano, I want to just say hi to some of the folks who have been viewing with us since the start of this show. So, hello to lovely Grace Zamora, to obviously to the CEO, the ever amazing, one of my great role models out there, Apple Manansala, her mom, Cholita Esplana from Tarlac, also Dai Rose Civiliejo, Baholo. I hope I got that right. Thank you for joining us. We also have Ray Badajos Dakul. Thank you for joining us. Roger Kalimag, watching in Texas. Thank you. Also, I know we have a few unified teacher viewers here in Massachusetts. Miss Viana Galgana and Miss Noemi Famador. Thanks for watching. Also, I've got some of my friends in Dubai. Daisy Warren, thanks for watching. From Pasig, watching. Thank you for watching. Mercedes Ibarra Bautista and a few others who are watching right now. All right. So let's bring back Dr. Edgardo Dacpano. And let's talk about at the national level naman this time.
Ah,
All right. So I'm curious. At a national level, and you being the president of Unified, why is inclusive education an issue? What is happening, or maybe what is not happening about inclusion?
at the national level, an inclusive education is very important because this is how students perceive how inclusivity looks like outside of the world. So we've been hearing a lot of stories of people being attacked based on their race or
Mhm.
ethnicity. So if we show our students inside the classroom how inclusivity looks like when they go out to the real world, they know how to act in front of other people different from their race or ethnicity. So we have this problem, and it still is a problem about race problems. And if we start this on the, I would say, on the grassroots levels, starting from the family and into the schools, and teach our students uh, of being inclusive, then we shouldn't be seeing this kind of problems of people being attacked based on their race or color. So inclusivity on the national level for unified, we know being advocates or teachers, being advocates of our students, we practice what inclusivity is so that we do our part in educating our students so that when they grow up, we don't see this kind of problems anymore. It's a long way to go because we know we are on these times when we still have leadership in the government who are actually practicing what is not
Mm-hmm.
inclusivity. So
Mm-hmm.
if we see that among our leaders, then it trickles down to what the students see on social media. So the job of the teachers now is to make sure that we show what and what is not inclusivity is inside the classroom.
Mm. That's very important to hear, Dr. Dacpano. Some of the things that I also share to folks and educators is that inclusion actually starts within yourself. And us as educators, the first thing that we have to do is to become more aware of the issues of exclusivity. And
Mhm.
then from there, build ways to become more inclusive, starting again from ourselves. So thank you. Thanks for saying
Yes, and if I may add about having to learn your cultural intelligence,
that.
so
Hmm.
being able to understand other cultures. That's what
Hmm.
cultural intelligence is. If you understand it, then you should be able to practice it in real life.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I know previously you talked about some of the quote unquote ingredients of building an inclusive school. But are there
Uh-huh.
any other thoughts, any other factors, any other ingredients that you can share to folks about building a successful inclusive school?
Yes, right now, Dallas Independent School District has four priorities. I
Okay.
attended this principal PD sessions this week, and they discuss about the four important priorities of the school district that is very much connected to inclusivity. And that one is equity. Again, I'm going to go back to the word equity, wherein the school community apologetically, it's just a tongue twister on my part,
Yeah.
acknowledge or advocate against and to act to eliminate systemic disparities inside the classroom. We
Hmm.
should be honoring all our stakeholders, racial, ethnic, cultural, or linguistic identities, so that if we recognize this and we ensure that we provide equitable support to our students, all our students, and they will come out as college and career ready when
Hmm.
they leave our classrooms. The second one is using the curriculum. It's a tool. The curriculum is the what.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's the what coming from the state and national standards. I know state and national standards have inclusivity in it. So if we practice all those specific content that are important in teaching inclusivity, it should be also found on the scope and sequence. So it should be up there. And we should align all our resources to provide an inclusive education and provide a good learning experience for our students. The third one would be instruction.
Hmm.
This is where teachers come in. So the curriculum is the what, and the teachers are the how.
Hmm.
So if we train all these teachers on how to provide inclusive education, then the students that we produce have a better understanding of how inclusivity looks like in outside of the school. And the third
Hmm.
one would be prioritizing literacy. So
Hmm.
students can become more adept so they can comprehend, they can analyze and synthesize and communicate themselves. One way of maybe uh, helping out the student is to train them how to communicate and uh, tell what their ideas are and their feelings. So we have a better understanding of other people, the other people around them. So we train our students on how to read and write and do critical thinking and to discuss what their feelings are with other students. So that when they go out, they could express themselves in ways that they become more a part of a larger community and not become and they do not become one of those maybe being what do you call this students who don't understand that there are other culture or other ethnic groups around them. So they will understand and become respectful of other cultures.
Basically what you're trying to say is that so that they will not be ignorant of
Uh-huh.
all the beautiful diversity that is around us. So
Yes.
great. Yeah, that's a great reminder. So, Dr. Ed, any last words or any other inspirational message to aspiring education leaders, especially, and I'm going to say this again, Ilocanos and in general, Filipinos, Filipino Americans on the issues, especially on inclusion?
All right. In general, to everyone, maybe last words or inspirational message for
Yeah.
everyone. To all Ilocano educators out there or all Ilocano teachers out there, uh, do what you do, okay? And do the best you can. Believe in yourself, okay? So, looking back at our experience there in the Philippines, going to school, we know we have, thinking about it, I said, well, when I was in school or when I was a new teacher in the Philippines, we usually group our students according to their intelligence, right? Uh,
Right.
Based on IQ or based on their performance of the previous assessment or test. So we have students who are on section A, section B, section C, or section D.
Mhm.
So when the principal says, "Okay, you will be the advisor of section D," you know already what that means.
Mhm.
So, and if they say you are advisor for section A, oh, you will say, "Oh, I got the good group this time." So inclusivity does away with all those kinds of labels for
Mhm.
our students.
Mhm.
So now we do away with labeling our students. So if you think about if I, would I like my kid to be in that classroom or would I like my kid to be taught by the teacher in that classroom? So if you put yourself on the shoe of a student and think about I am excluded on these particular activities because they see me as this, or I am excluded of an activity because I belong to that group, or they exclude me because I belong to a certain group that is frowned upon by some of the people around us. So that is not inclusivity right there. If you were in my shoes or in my if you do my job, I think you will do the same way. So I want to be included. So you should make sure that when you teach inclusivity. You get everybody involved, and everybody gets the same services that you will provide. So for my Ilocano counterparts, be who you are. Make sure that you do great things for your students, and be out there, volunteer, do some work, be a leader in certain ways. Again, as I said, principal or assistant principal is not only the leadership role that you can do. There's a lot of leadership roles that you can do in your schools or campuses.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Dacpano, for that. And where can people find you?
Uh, we have a website for those who would like to join our organization, the Unified Organization. We have a website. It's www.unified.org. Okay, so that's if you want information about our organization, that's where you go. All of the informations are there on how to become a member, how to find chapters in the Philippines, and if you want to organize a chapter in your area, you could send me an email, president@unified.org, so that we can start the ball rolling and create a unified chapter in your area. That's how easy it is. And we will provide all the help that you need so that you can start your own chapter, a unified chapter in your area in the Philippines.
Awesome. And I just want to make sure that we got that right. Is it double F on the unified or single
Yes,
F?
double F.
Okay, double F. So unified with a double F and same on the email piece.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that if you are watching, get on to the website that Dr. Dacpano gave and reach out to him. I'm sure, he'll be able to help you in terms of your journey in becoming an educator here in the US and also promoting inclusivity in the Philippines and around here. And count me on the issue of inclusion, inclusivity, and equity and diversity because I too am a very big advocate when it comes to these issues. I'll be happy also to be of a resource to anyone who would be willing to talk about these issues. With that said, yeah, Manong Edgar, salamat for being with us. And before we close today's episode, I want to say hello and thank you to your wife, Miss Myrna Estolino Dacpano.
Yeah, that's right. She's watching.
Yes, she is. And I want to say thank you because she let you be with us for an hour and for all the time that you were thinking about this particular episode. So to Miss Myrna Dacpano, thank you very much for the time that you shared your wonderful husband to all of us and to all our viewers. Thank you.
And a shout out to my kababayan in Pugulaw Union.
There you go, folks. There you go. All right, Manong Ed, thank you so much. Thank you again. And I wish you good luck in your journey as the assistant principal in Texas. And thank you for all your work for our Filipino educators here in the US and in the Philippines.
Thank
Good
you so
luck.
much for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a good day, everybody. See you all again.